Do you have like a goal? Like I know you said you're being patient with yourself and like obviously you've got a lot to do, but like do you have a goal for like, oh, I'd really like to release it in this year?
2 years ago.
Okay. That's incredibly relatable.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to a Candid Conversation with. My name is Breezy, and today we are chatting with someone that is not just probably new to all of you, but kind of new to me. I love having these particular conversations with people that like I've just sort of met. And like we've interacted a bit, you and I. We can chat about that. But like, who are you and what do you do?
All right, so my name's Nico. On social media, I go by Stitch Lips. I'm a game developer, I'm a musician, and I'm working on a project called Gretchen, Queen of Crows. It's like a atmospheric action platformer about a girl looking for her best friend.
Super
And I'm a
cool.
dad. And I'm a dad, of course. I can't forget
Yay!
that.
I love how into being a dad you are, or maybe it's just because like your son, right, is like pretty young.
Yeah.
So that kind of
He's
takes up
15
your
months.
life. Yeah, oh yeah. That
Well,
takes up your entire life.
it's funny because like I did not want kids. I didn't like that was like no, I'm serious. I didn't
Yeah.
like I didn't. That wasn't like I really believed that was something that I just didn't think was in the cards for me. And I guess like looking back, maybe like some of the reasons may have been like a little selfish. I'm not saying not wanting kids makes you selfish,
Yeah.
but I think some of my reasons were because like I don't know, like it's just
It's hard work.
I don't even want to say that. Like yes, but it's just like I don't know. I'm gonna try not to get emotional.
Oh no. Yeah, I don't
I
want
get so like
to.
no. Okay, it's like I'm not embarrassed by it or anything. I'm just like I don't know. Like when I think about it, I'm just like I get a little too like I think that the term would be like I'm a little too like right brained. I think like where
Okay.
I'm a little like you know what? I'm sensitive. I'm a sensitive man. We'll
I
just go
love
with
that.
that.
No, that's a good thing. That's a totally
Yeah,
valid thing. But like
but
I ever since so for context anyone watching this, I actually I don't know if I asked you, did you find me through YouTube and then you like hopped in my chat and then it was like, "Oh, you're a friendly person and you're not trying to troll and like we just got along."
so I feel like my gateway drug to your channel was actually a content creator uh named Purple Dough.
Yes. Oh my
And
gosh,
yeah.
yes.
So
We
she
were
like and
supposed
it's
to
fun.
connect, but we haven't yet. So
Yeah,
like
you
we're
you
gonna
need
chat.
to. I would love to see you guys do that. That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But basically I'm like really into like Silent Hill stuff and like, dude, there's so many like retrospectives and like
Yes.
there's so many video essays on Silent Hill now. But you know, algorithm. And
Sure.
that was like one of the things. I don't remember what like video I saw of hers,
Mhm.
but I can't get this to light by the way. My herbs.
If anyone
I've
is
been
wondering,
trying. There we go. Yeah.
before we started this, Nico was just had a mortar and pestle and was just like talking, and I was like, "Are you making dinner? What's going on?" And he was like, "No, I'm just trying to like
Yeah.
vibe over here. I just really wanted to light these herbs."
Yeah, but whatever. I don't know what I saw first, but I follow her on Twitch, not Twitch. Jesus Christ, Twitter,
YouTube, Twitter,
X,
one of
X.
those. Sure.
Yeah. Um, and she reposted something like about like you made a video about
Stray Souls, probably.
yeah,
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 that's the one
yeah.
that popped off
And it
of
was
all the
like it was
things.
cool because it was like one of those posts where it was like kind of like celebratory where you were like mentioning like the video did really well.
Yeah.
And like just out of curiosity, I clicked on it and then like it's funny, but like, obviously like I feel like I don't know. I don't really know if it's fair for me to say this, but I feel like it's a lot different than like your content.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah. Like I'm
Yeah.
not like I'm again like I'm not trying to like pigeonhole you or anything and say like
No.
I know what your content is. I don't. Like you could really like literally be doing anything, but
And
I
I
just the
do.
other stuff and like when I saw that you did like the talks with developers because I eat that shit up.
It's
I
so
love that.
fun.
I
It is
love
my
that.
favorite thing.
And so without like I tend to like ramble on a lot,
I
so
love
I'm gonna
it.
try not to do that. But the thing that really connected with me about it was a few years ago. Like I used to travel a lot.
Mhm.
Okay, so podcast was my fucking and I came across this one called Composer Quest, and it was this guy who would just, dude, like he would interview musicians, but it wasn't like they weren't like they were just like everyday people. Like it wasn't
Mhm.
like he wasn't looking to interview like like national acts or people who were even like working musicians. He just like talked to people and like someone that you wouldn't even know would be a musician or something like that, and or friends that he had, and they were so interesting. Like these
Mhm.
people, like because we tend to like obviously, and I understand why we do it, but we elevate people in like in high positions. So people
Yeah.
who tend to like who are in the spotlight, we elevate that, and then we tend to forget that there are some fucking exceptional people, like on a like that are like virtually unknown, and I don't know, like that's what I'm not saying that you like talk to people that are unknown. You have like Airdorf on
No,
there and
but
shit,
yeah, but like that's
but
the
it's like
whole
there's
thing.
my point is they're small creators.
Yeah.
You're like you're interacting with small creators and like they're interesting people. And one, like you're fucking really, really good at talking to these people.
Thank you.
Like you
Wow.
like I just feel like you lead it really well. And it just reminded me of that. So I'm like,
Thank
that's cool
you.
shit. Yeah, hell yeah.
Wow. And Nico is not a plant, by the way. I wasn't just like, I'm going to put this person in so they can
Yeah,
like
right.
hype this shit up.
Listen, I have the invoice on PayPal, okay?
You
I got
can
paid
prove
very well to
it.
do this.
Well, that's exciting because now you are one of these interesting people that I get to talk to. And we've interacted a bit through my chat and like through Twitter and
Yeah.
Discord, whatever. But like, I know so little about you. And it's
Right.
actually kind
Yeah.
of hard to find. Like, I do a cursory Google search before
Mhm.
I do these interviews just to like see what's out there. And obviously, I know about your game, and we're going to like get into
Yeah.
that in a little bit,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm really excited about. But like, you as a person didn't know you were a musician. Like,
Mhm.
tell me about that. What kind of
So
music? Like, give me the deets.
I I am glad you said that because like I was actually debating even on like taking it an extra mile and like not using my camera. But yeah, like I actually to give you a little bit of history on myself, I the game development is as for a lot of people, it's a relatively new thing for me. Um I I tried when I was a teenager a couple times, but like I just didn't have the pay. Dude, your head's so in the clouds when you're a kid.
Oh,
It's so weird.
absolutely.
It's amazing to me when like there are these like kids who are like hyper focused at a young age. I'm like, good for you, man. You know, but I did have fixations, but like I just didn't have the discipline. You
Mhm.
know, and game development, like, dude, now you could find tutorials and information on everything, everything. But you remember the internet back in like the early 2000s and stuff like that. It was weird. It
It
was
was
a
very
weird place.
weird.
And like, but it was just like it's like a fever dream to think about it. But like, you couldn't go on and learn how to make a game. Like, it was just like you had to put in the work for that, and you still do. But there's
Oh,
so
for
much
sure.
more accessible information out there to get people started. Um, so yeah, there was that. But I would say by and large, like my DNA was with music. Like that was that is my thing. I wish I played more now, but um I used to just like play the guitar for like hours. That was my fixation, I was crazy
Yeah.
about that. But um around 2015, a really good friend of mine who was a working musician reached out to me and said they were looking for a bass player. I was like, "Well, I'm not a bass player, but I'll get a bass." And I ended up like it was a cover band gig, but that was my job for a few years, and it shaved years off my life. It did. I had a lot of fun. I'm not gonna say that I didn't,
Sure.
but I also, yeah, I don't know. Like it was around that time. I didn't have to work an office job, so I was like, you know what? I want to start trying to make music for games. You can see where this is going.
Yeah.
But it is hard, and you have to be like for people to actually come to you, you have to be exceptional. Like you don't. It's such a loud marketplace, and I did land a couple like paid things, which I was so excited at the time. Like I was like, oh my god, I made it.
Yeah.
Well, it was just like working with other indie developers, you know. But it's always so validating when someone thinks that what you're doing is worth money, you know. Like even though like we get, you know, like it's frowned upon to chase the dollar. It's a reflection of value,
Yeah,
like in what you do, you know. Like if someone pays you to do something, that's a good thing, you know. Well, I
absolutely.
mean, well, they could pay you to do bad things too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
It goes both ways, but in this
Yeah, yeah.
particular
Mhm.
instance, yes, it is a good thing. I
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
understand.
But um, and like that was still like I feel like I still felt like game developing around that time was still kind of this like enigma. Like there was like indie developers were on the rise. And this is like obviously before then you had some big indie games come out, but I still feel like it's not nearly like it's so much more saturated now than it was back in
Yeah.
like 2015 and 2016. Um, and it's going to continue to get that way, obviously. But the I remember connecting with this horror developer, and it's something that I can actually talk about because again, like I think I don't know if the game's ever gonna get released, but
Gotcha.
the last I heard though, like here's the thing, this guy, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna try not to like digress too much or like go off on
No, I
tangents,
love this. This is good.
but he was working on a game and he's still working on it, and it's called Seclusion, and it like I there's a bittersweet. I just have a bittersweet feeling about it because he is so talented, okay?
Mhm.
But if he only just released that game sooner, he would have been fucking set. He would have been set. And now the marketplace is so saturated with
Yeah.
horror games. Like he had this thing looking amazing back in like 2012. He's been working on this for so long.
It was like the
But it's because
prime of like
right,
the
yes, yes, yeah.
just cresting into
Yes.
horror indie. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, because you had to still get he got greenlit back when you used to have to get greenlit on Steam. Do you
Hmm.
remember that? So
I
it's
have
like
heard, yes.
yeah, so that's like now you could just give Steam $100 and you're on there, you know.
Hmm.
But like you used to have to get like approved on and like the community, like they, I don't even know what the exact process was, but I know that there was checks and balances in place to like make sure that you know people wanted these games on the marketplace. But his game got greenlit and like it just there it sat and there it sits to this day. And I worked on a lot of music for that game, you
Yeah.
know? But like and I just went on to release it. Like every now and then I'll reach out to him and I'll be like, hey man, like how's it going? You know? And this is like I so he's been working on this game prior to me meeting him.
Hmm.
I started working with him around like 2015 or 2016. And I still reach out to him to this day. And he's like, he's always like, oh yeah, like it's almost done. I'm just like hitting the finishing touches. And that's the
You're like,
curse.
for 10
That's
years? Like, where
That's
are
what
we?
this is what they always warn indie developers about. Is like, don't
Yes.
get stuck in that hell. And he's just such a perfectionist with it. And like he's so talented and nothing like here's the thing. Now you can and this is what makes me kind of like this is another thing that's very bittersweet about it. The quality of the assets that he modeled everything. He modeled everything himself, okay?
Mhm.
Um now you can get a very similar look by getting pre-made assets and it's like man like if only like the quality is so like it's easier to match aesthetically, you
Yeah.
know. Obviously game design like you can't pay for that, like you have to still be a good
You have to know
designer,
it.
right? Yeah, like you have to it's like buying assets doesn't make a fun game, you know.
Hmm.
Like I don't
Stray
even know what a
Souls
fun game is.
figured that out,
I
maybe.
know, it's such a it's such a like I don't know, it's crazy. And I mean good for, the thing is like for them that whole team, I mean, they got to get paid for a little while doing that, so I'm sure
And
that
then
was
just
fun, you know?
shut that shit down. Do you know
But
how
the
many
problem is
people like messaged me and were like, "You canceled them," and I was like, "Okay, that wasn't just me, but like
you
hilarious."
canceled them?
Yeah, it was all me.
Oh,
I
yeah,
canceled them.
the studio did shut down, didn't
It
it?
did, yeah, because they were like getting bullied, but like
Yeah.
it was a whole thing. I've watched many a
Yeah.
deep dive after that, but anyway, Stray Souls aside, we're talking about
Yeah.
you and your
Mm.
experiences.
Yeah, right, right. I know I made that more, like, long-winded than I had to,
No.
but so after that, I ended up working on another game that was it was like almost like a mobile, like, cute mobile MMO.
I'm in.
It's so outside of my wheelhouse. Like, and
Yeah.
I go back and I listen to the soundtrack now, and I'm like, ugh, like I just like cringe, you know. It wasn't bad, but it's like it's just not great work, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's like when you like it obviously like when you're looking to excel at something, it's important to do things outside of your comfort zone. But you also have to remember when you're stepping outside of that comfort zone that you need to be going to an authentic place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
didn't do that. Like it wasn't like an authentic sound for me to approach. And I was like, it was just like me trying to like emulate too much of something. And
Sure.
it wasn't like, you know, it just wasn't like it wasn't fruitful. And then after that, I was like, I don't want like I hate salesy stuff. Okay. Like I even hate that I like promote my own game and post stuff about it online.
You
But
have to. It's like
you do
every dev
you
I
do.
talk to, I'm
Mm,
like, what is the worst part of game dev? And they're like promoting your game because it
yeah.
is such, like you said, a saturated market, especially
Yeah.
if you're doing horror. And these people often are composers, they are designers, they are, artists. They're not
Yep.
marketers. And like you
Right.
have to. And that sucks
Mm,
for so many people that hate doing that shit.
yeah. No, and um yeah, I was just around that time. I was like, I want to try and make something, you know, like I want to see if I could just finally bite down and like stop being afraid of programming because that was the big thing that was like terrifying to me. Like
Yeah.
even I just it just feels so enigmatic. Like I just like the whole thing. I'm like I just didn't think I was capable of it, you know, and without for lack of a better way of putting it, I just decided to like kind of just eat shit for a little while and like and just do the shit that was uncomfortable that I didn't want to do, which was like learn programming essentially, you know, which I know you don't necessarily need to do,
Yeah, but it's
but
helpful. How did you
yeah.
get over that? Because I know, like, for a lot of people, myself included, I see that daunting mountain and I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know if I can climb that. So for you, like, how did you get yourself motivated enough to be like, I'm just going to eat shit for a little bit?
So here's the this is gonna be again. This
Go
is like a
off.
multi-part
We
answer.
love
Okay,
it.
I got a lot to say. Um, so I think initially you have to just be. This is gonna sound like such a disappointing answer. You have to learn to be patient with yourself and manage your expectations. Like I've struggled with that stuff all my life, and that's always been the thing that's held me back. Is because I didn't get the thing immediately because like like we just need to be gratified immediately. If we don't get things immediately, we're just like, well, it's not for me. It's like, no, dude. It's do you think the people who are the best at like what they do sacrificed so much and they suffered to get there, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's just like you have to be willing to like, yes, this is going to be challenging, yes, I'm going to have days where I'm like, I absolutely fucking suck at this, I don't get it. And that was constant with programming, like constantly. And I'm not by any stretch of the imagination like an exceptional programmer, but I can do way more than I was able to do if I had never even tried, you know?
Yeah.
um, One thing that I definitely want to say that's really important is you can't get stuck um, learning because like the learning. I know that sounds so ridiculous, but that's a crutch. You need to you need to assimilate the stuff that you learn in yourself. You can't just fucking watch. I'm sorry, I'm cursing so much. By the way, I
You're
know that. Well,
allowed.
actually, yeah, yeah.
You're way
I was like,
allowed.
you've been demonetized. Like, yeah,
Oh, yeah, no, you're good.
so yeah, like because there's so much information out there, and it's easy to just follow something along. And and this isn't a plug, but I found these things on Udemy a while ago called like the creators of the courses are called GameDev.tv, and man, that stuff is good. Like it really is. Like it's because yes, you can follow along, but like there's all these steps in it where it's like, okay, well, we're not going to tell you how to do this. Like approach it yourself, and then we can like give you the answer afterwards. But like it's just it kind of like they challenge you to like try something for yourself instead of just sitting there being like, yeah, okay,
Interesting. That's like a
yeah.
really good way to learn.
Dude, it is one of the best ways to learn. Like that's with anything. Like
Hmm.
you need to exercise. Like here's the thing. When you're following a tutorial online, that is completely passive. You are not engaged in that at all. You're just following something. You're not learning. You're just copying. You're miming. Like you're just like you're
Yeah.
not. Yeah. And I like that was the problem too. Is like I felt like I wasn't learning anything. So finally, even with those, like those did help. But even with those, I was like, I feel like I'm still not like I need to make something of my own.
Hmm.
So like I remember I just finally just buckled down and I this was pretty crazy and like I there was a game jam going on, okay? And I was
Ooh.
like, you know what? Yeah, yeah.
Put a time
And
limit
then
on that shit and you
yeah,
will get
yeah.
something done.
Yeah, there was a game jam going on, and I was like, "Well, you know what? I am going to do the thing that I am the worst at, which is programming." And I was like, "I'm going to reach out to a team and just tell them that I'm going to be the programmer without, giving my this is I don't recommend this. Like I think it's cuz you could you could burn people.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a super, like high profile game jam, but like it was still like, I was there was this artist and a musician, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna fake it till I make it here. And then we made like this, like it was a simple little game,
Sure.
but like just I think also, and it's funny because you can kind of like draw parallels to like fatherhood in a way, I guess, is that when people are expecting something of you, there's like this pressure to deliver,
Yeah.
you know, and that's kind of what happened there. Is I was like, these guys will, like they just need me to write these scripts and like actually make the core of the game.
Yeah.
Um, and it was like I'm glad I did that because it was at that moment where I was like, even if the game wasn't great, it was at that moment where I was like, okay, like that was kind of just like me taking the step into being more independent and relying less on, being spoon fed stuff and
That's
actually like
awesome.
yeah, like actually seeing like actually understanding how to put things together.
Yeah.
And then I made a game that I published on Newgrounds. It was like this dope. I feel like it'd be right up your alley. I think you'd be like, you would think it's like hilarious, but
I'm in.
yeah, it's like it's so simple, but it was
Okay.
like this little like this auto runner,
Okay.
and it was called Happy Dog Walk Simulator, and it was.
I'm writing it down so I can immediately play it.
Well, and you know what sucks is like look at like when you do actually like search for it
Yeah.
later, look at all the websites that mirrored it. It's so upsetting because people just steal stuff off Newgrounds
Really?
and mirror it. Yeah, yeah. And
Oh
there's
shit.
even like yeah, they just steal stuff off Newgrounds and they just mirror it on their websites and like it's crazy. Like I didn't know that was a thing until I published the game and then I'm like, "Oh, I see it all over on websites that I didn't fucking publish it on."
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't care, but if I was like, if I don't know, like if I was more invested in it, I think I would have been like I would have taken
Yeah.
that. Like that sucks. That sucks, especially for people who really invest time into like creations. That's probably why that website isn't as big as it was, you know?
I
Well, that and
have heard.
Flash died.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there's
Yeah.
probably a combination of reasons that that's not as popular anymore.
Yeah.
So how soon after, like, so you start making these kind of small projects, and then at
Mhm.
what point were you like, okay, Gretchen, Queen of Crows, like this is my new
D-
baby? Like, how did that
I
happen?
so the problem is
Many.
I yeah, I'm like I'll rewind a little bit here. I'll stay on track. So I think it was back in like right as I was leaving the band that I was in to work a normie job. That's right before the pandemic hit, by the way. So like I
Oh,
left, and that the pandemic wreaked havoc on the music, like that aspect of the music industry.
yeah,
Like because it was all about live performance. So like everything in the Philadelphia, Jersey, like all that shit, nothing. They weren't working. And then when everyone was trying to collect, nope. No,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Sorry. So it was just like I didn't anticipate that. I ended up just coincidentally being out of it before everything hit the fan.
hmm,
So I was in like a more secure job at that point, but I wanted to like on the side focus more on like on I wanted games to be my next thing. Like I was like, all right, well if I could get to the point where like I was able to play music as my job, like maybe I can get to the point where like I can find something else that I'm really fascinated with that could also be my job. Whether
yeah,
like doesn't necessarily have to be games, but it could be anything like creative. Um, but that's around the time where I got these weird ideas for Gretchen. that project's gone through so many changes. And the problem is because it's like it's a learning project. It's not like it's something that I do want to be a full length game, but this project has grown with me as a
Mm-hmm.
developer, you know, and like both artistically, like visually, design wise, like I'm still figuring out like that. There's a huge difference between making a small game and a big one.
Sure is.
So like, and the amount of planning and like it's just it's so difficult. And this project still has like plenty of growing pains, you know.
Hmm.
But it's starting to like to come more into itself because I don't want to work on it for a decade. But I'm also trying to be like compassionate with myself and that like I know that when I have a better handle on this stuff, that I'll be able to like turn projects out quicker or like do stuff that's more like creatively mature and focused, you
Hmm.
know? Not that I'm trying to put the project down, I'm just being realistic,
No, I
you
feel
know?
like
Yeah.
that is something that when people get into game dev, and I'm not a game dev, but I have spoken with enough and I have enough friends to know that like
Right.
when you set your expectations at a certain level, like either high or low, like you have to readjust. You have to be
Yeah.
reasonable because like there are going to be roadblocks and there's going to be so many things in your way that like if you're not gentle with yourself and you're not patient, like you're going to burn out and it's never going to come out. So like the fact that you are at least aware of that is
Yeah.
really something that a lot of people like miss
Mhm.
when they first start.
I there's definitely dissonance there. Like I
Yeah.
have to put myself in check all the time where I'm like, man, like, well, I haven't really I have to remind myself that I haven't been working on this project in a focused way over the last, couple years. Like it's been this project that's like been an experiment that's
Hmm.
kind of turned into different things. And it's like I'm trying because design is really difficult. Like
Yeah.
I think design is one of the hardest aspects of making a game. Um because like I you have this like kind of idea of like what you're trying to go for, like the things that you want to express and what you're working on. But sometimes like you just don't feel like it's actually coming out that way, you know?
Hmm.
Like I have this issue, like, and it's whatever. Like I am not by any means inspired by like most 2D platformers or like Hollow Knight, which I get compared to Hollow Knight all the time, and I'm like it's like it's fine. Like people
Yeah.
always are gonna make connections, you know. But I'm like I just the thing that bothers me about it is I'm like I feel like that's not like it's not like what the game is going to represent. Like I feel like Hollow Knight is a beautiful game. Like it's obviously like it's as big as it is for a reason.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like I'm not trying to say the same thing as those developers. You know,
Yeah.
this is more of like a like you know what this game is turning into.
Mm.
This is turning into like my like the like the disturbing things that a kid would write, like a teenager would write in his notebook, like
Yeah. Is that a
Yeah.
bad thing though? Like, I
No,
mean,
no, but it's like it's just it ends up like because everyone has stuff they go through. Okay,
sure.
like everyone has stuff they go through, but it's like it's interesting being at a place where like I can look at my life experiences like kind of neutrally,
Hmm.
and I could express them in still like a symbolic way. You know what I mean? Like I could
Yeah.
still express them like in a way where it's like I still have a connection to these experiences, but they're not like these things that are like causing me to struggle in my
Yeah.
day-to-day life. You know what I mean? But it's interesting. I'm glad that I can go back and experience those things like and not be like affected by it, you know?
That is a fascinating. I don't think I thought about it until you said that, but like I I'm big on mental health, right? I have like a
Yeah, right.
therapist. He's the best.
Mhm. That's
And
great.
we talk about how like it is easier now for me to be in therapy than it was back then because I can look at things neutrally
Mhm.
and like still understand that experience. And I don't think anyone else has like put it into words until you just said that. But that is a really interesting way to view that. And like
Yeah.
cool that you can put it into your art and still have
Right.
it
Yeah.
reflect what you are actually like or were feeling at that time.
Yeah. And I'm not by any means saying that this is a substitute for therapy.
Right.
Make
It's
sure I
not.
just want to let the
Go to
record state
therapy.
this,
It's really
yeah.
helpful.
hmm That's like something that I want to commit more to, because I feel
Yeah,
like it's like the a good therapist is like they're going to they're just gonna help you like live a better life. Like,
exactly.
you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Yeah,
because you can't, I think people associate therapy with like being like traumatized or having these deep rooted issues. And it's like, no, dude, like everyone is their, I believe that like each of us as individuals are our biggest deceivers to ourselves. Like, we play the biggest tricks on ourselves and we're so fucking oblivious to it. It's mind blowing. And
yeah,
like, you need to be aware of that stuff because it'll destroy your life, or like it'll, or it'll keep you from living the best version of your life,
yeah.
Um, I suppose. But
No, I 100% agree.
yeah.
I always, like, ever since I started, like, a full year ago, ever since then, I've been like, everyone should go to therapy just for, like, a little
Yeah.
while, to just, like, learn about themselves. It's kind of like to, like, going to school. It's just like this time you get to learn only about you, and it's not as terrible as everyone says it is. Sometimes it
Yeah.
is. But it's like really good for you. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, I don't know how, I didn't mean to get
It's
too
fine.
deep
Listen,
on
this is
there.
it's all good because I'm glad you brought it up too, because that stuff, like, that is something that is actually very meaningful to me. Like, I love like psychoanalytics, and I love psychology. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, I because it's such a I know, like, I know that we find existence to be like this normal, you know, just mundane thing.
Mhm.
But like, if you just take a moment to realize how fucking crazy this is, like, that one, that we can experience like this the world the way that we do, but also the way that we can like receive and process information. And like, it's like, this is gonna sound like, kind of like but like, the fact that we have like these entire worlds and universes that exist within us, like
Yeah.
in our minds, and like, again, like the complexity of our psychology,
Mhm.
it's such a new field. It's such
Yeah.
a new field. And like, the thing is like, you can get a little crazy with it if you try to like dig too deep into it, because you can, I've, without trying to pretend like I know a lot about like his work, or I could even like really, like, do it justice, I guess. But
Mhm.
like, have you heard of Jung?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, I'm not even gonna go down that road because I'm not good with it. But like, it's just, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Where like, if you get really, really deep into this stuff, and like, you can get carried away.
Yeah,
Not taking
yeah.
anything away from that stuff, because his shit is actually really, really cool, and it's really fascinating. And it definitely is compelling. But I feel like it's one of those things where it can be like a gateway drug into like just getting a little too deep into things.
Yeah. Like
I don't know.
detaching yourself a little bit from reality and like,
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, that's a great way to put it, because that's,
yeah.
yeah, but regardless of that, like, I am very like really fascinated with psychology in general, and I think that's why I'm making the kind of project that I am, because it's it's not it doesn't feel grounded. Like, I feel like the thing that I'm working on is kind of like, it's like atmospheric, and it's just
Mhm.
weird. Like, I like things that feel almost like they're just kind of like out of reach, where you don't really necessarily know what's going on. But
Mhm.
not like, I mean, that could easily get pretentious too, But I feel like it's just weird to me, because like, I just feel like the way that I make things, like, I can't make things that are like super like structured and grounded. Like, we're like, this is like a clear story that just like spells everything out for you. Like,
Yeah.
I like making things that are like that that you might unconsciously understand.
I was just gonna say, considering the things you've said you like inspire you, the things you're interested in watching, like Silent Hill and like other horror
Yeah.
games, that's kind of like their whole MO is you're not really supposed
Yeah.
to know exactly what's going on. So I think that makes
Mhm.
sense.
I don't know. I get a little heartbroken when I think of Silent Hill, and not because of all this stuff that's going on with it.
Okay.
but it's actually because like the okay, so I would imagine that we were probably playing like how long have you been playing games for?
Oh God, since I was a child.
Right. So flashback to that time. Like when did you play Silent Hill for the first time?
Ooh, that was not until I was in my 20s.
Okay. So just and this isn't me trying to like one up the experience by any means, but
Yeah,
like
sure.
you know how weird the world is when you're younger and your brain is still developing. And like I just going from like, playing games like Banjo-Kazooie and
Mm-hmm.
which I fucking love still, by the way. It's a great game. Um I did play survival horror stuff growing up, but like when I the first Silent Hill that I actually played was Silent Hill 4,
Okay.
okay? And I remember I used to get the Xbox magazine, like, and this was around the time when I was like 13,
Amazing.
14. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. But yeah, and Silent Hill 4 had like a fucking 5-page feature in that, and I'm looking through that, I'm like, this is weird. Like, there's something about this, like, and like I was so young at the time too, and like there was something so like beautifully surreal about Silent Hill and experiencing those games like at a young age. And I'm like, this is just like, what are these guys doing? What is this? Like,
Yeah.
this is a weird game. Like the way that they approach horror, like and like you said, like it's like it's kind of like related to this the way that I said that I try to make things but like, I feel like that's just all gone. Like, I feel like there's 5 million fucking videos on, like, the symbolism of Silent Hill and, like, what it all means and
Mm,
stuff like that. Now, I miss not fucking knowing exactly what was going on, but
yeah.
still connecting with it, you know?
Yeah.
And now
Oh
there's this
shit.
yeah. Like, the mystery, dude, we just need to understand everything in and out. It's like, why can't we just have these weird mystical things that are just like, you know?
Yeah, but we watch
Yeah.
it, right? Like you said in
Yeah.
the
Oh,
beginning, you're like,
I know.
I
Yeah.
fucking eat
Listen,
that
I'm.
shit
I'm not.
up.
I'm not
I know,
like, listen,
I do too. I fucking love doing deep
uh,
dives on stuff, and
yeah.
I love watching other people do it. But like,
Yeah. I'm not throwing shade
yeah,
at it. Yeah. I'm just like
no,
saying it's just like like BB King said. The thrill is gone. Like it's just like there's no fucking like there's like I miss that and like
yeah,
I the games that got the closest to giving me that feeling again was I loved Cry of Fear. Cry of
I've
Fear was
never
awesome,
played. So
dude.
I played it a little bit, like in
Hmm.
my early 20s, and I don't think I got very far because
Yeah.
it was very scary, and I was
It,
not
dude,
ready for that.
very.
Yeah,
That is by far like that is I don't understand. That is one of the scariest games I've ever played. That is like
100%.
and I know I know they depend on jump scares a lot in that game, but also
The
the
ambiance too,
dude,
like
yes, that's what I was
yes,
gonna say. Yes, like and the like because they need to be set up well and like I
hmm
never like and even like the sounds the creatures would make were so visceral.
yeah,
So visceral. Like the screeches of like those weird like sharp creatures that you'd kill, whatever.
horrifying.
The ones with like the old mom haircuts, like that, like yeah, whatever, yeah, like that,
Yeah,
like
I don't
weird,
know what they're
yeah,
called, but yes.
like that. But everything was so terrifying in that game, and that one was the only thing that like bugged me about that a little bit is like I listen. I understand like mental health is like a really important thing to address, and I understand that it's like I just we're too on the nose. We're too on the nose
Mhm.
with stuff, and it
Mhm.
like and it just comes off as like, do you really like, are you really going to connect with people like this? It feels cheap, Like, and I feel like there
Yes.
was the things in Cry of Fear that were like, now a great game, okay.
Yeah.
They what they did was exceptional, but there was things that were too on the nose, and it almost makes it feel like there isn't like this sincere understanding of it when you're too on the nose about it,
Yes.
Like it's because it to me, I feel like in order to not that I'm the authority on this, okay?
Sure.
So, yeah, but like I feel like the way to do that to me is like it's to like you have to approach these things with tact, you
And
know?
with the player in mind. Like, and also
Yeah.
understanding that the player is not stupid. Like, that is the number one thing that drives me crazy in games is that
Mhm.
and
Hand
like, I
holding.
get it. Yeah, I get it. Like, making games is hard, right? Game design, like you said, it does not come naturally to everybody. And I completely understand that. But, like, when you start making things assuming that the player is dumb or the player is not going to get it, and like you start tailoring things to the fact that like I need to make this more obvious, you're like ruining the opportunity for the player to find out for themselves, to relate to it, and to like have that aha moment of like, oh shit, like this was all something I figured out, you know?
Right.
And that's
And
like, ugh, such a bummer.
and it is like, and with like with that being said, it is a very difficult thing to do.
Sure.
Like I've, like I'm, because there's also like I feel like there's, when you're trying to be too intentional, you lose sincerity as well.
Yeah.
Right? So it's tough. Like
100%.
it's tough. So it's like, if I'm sitting over here and I catch myself thinking too hard about something I could make a metaphor about, I'm like, no, like you're not doing this right. Like
Right.
this is not what you're supposed to be doing. Like, because then you're just trying to be too nebulous about things. And like I just, but it's a hard balance to strike. And I'm not saying that here's the thing. It's so much easier to observe things and criticize them. You know what I mean? So like
100%. Yes.
you don't have to be a master of it to understand that it's like, you know. So I'm only saying that because I keep being like, oh, I'm not an expert of it, but I'm like, I don't have to be. I don't have to be an expert to
Right.
acknowledge this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the other series that really that like I still love to this day was, are you familiar with Harvester games?
Yes,
Yeah,
I have
dude.
never played it for myself. Are
Mhm.
there multiple? Because I own Harvester, the first one, which I
Oh,
thought
no,
was the
no.
only
I'm sorry.
one.
I'm sorry. The Harvester, the developer. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the
Oh.
Harvester game. Harvester he made the Cat Lady. That's his biggest release.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Have I
Mhm.
played the Cat Lady, or is it just in my
It's
wish
dude,
list?
it's uh,
I
let's
gotta
see.
remember. I can't remember if I've actually played
It
this one.
it blew up. It blew up in like the around like like 2012, 2013, whenever it came out. It was big for a little bit, but I
Yeah.
think it's kind of like,
I don't know if I played that. It may be on my wish list, or
yeah,
I've
yeah.
purchased it or something because
Mhm.
the name rings true, but I don't know if I've even seen like
Yeah.
gameplay of it.
It's a point and click game, all right?
Love
But
point and
yeah,
clicks.
but dude, but the thing is, it's just so fucking punk. Like it's so punk.
Okay.
Like everything about it is just dirty. It doesn't try to be beautiful. It's
Yeah.
just like it literally is like but it just fucking works. Like he just and there are times where like he is on the nose, and like again, it does happen,
Yeah.
but it's just oh man, I don't know. Like I was just really, really inspired by that stuff, and it wasn't just, again, like it's not necessarily just the story, but like the atmosphere, how surreal it would get. Like he made a game a couple years. It was a remake of his first game, but after the Cat Lady, he made a game called Downfall, and it's so psychedelic. Like it's just
I love that.
it's yeah, like and they're like, again, like they're just like these gritty fucking like handmade punk games, like. It's
That's
so
cool.
good. Yeah, oh, it's so cool. And
I
like,
I can
yeah,
appreciate shit that like doesn't
yeah,
try to be like anything that it's not, you know? Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's something, like you said, a
Mhm.
sincerity to that. Which,
Right, and
speaking
he's
of,
yeah.
oh yeah, go ahead.
No, finish.
No, I was gonna say,
Oh,
speaking
okay.
of making games and like being what they are, you offered to
Yeah.
like show yours off, so I just wanted
Yeah, yeah,
to.
yeah. So like, I don't have anything glamorous to show right now. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that it's like, but like, so a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, like that, it's a little unpolished. So I'm not going to go too crazy with like showing other scenes. We'll stick in
sure.
this one.
Also,
Um,
no spoilers, right? We don't want to get too spoilery about
well,
this because,
I'm
like,
not worried about that.
we're waiting. We're all waiting for that. Everybody's waiting for you to finish this game. No pressure.
If only, right, dude? It's like it's so hard to like find what, like I'm not sure who this like project connects with. It's
Yeah,
funny, like, and it's fine, but like I'm making it, and like I see people like interact with it and stuff like that, and they get curious about it, but I'm like I don't, like, everyone has an idea of what they think their target audience is, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but like I don't know, like I feel like it's. I would be curious to see like what kind of community would like, kind of pop up around this and want to play it, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but let's see. So you could see the little top section there with
Hmm.
like the white boxes and all that, the stuff I'm zooming in and out on.
Yeah, yeah.
This is kind of like when you're planning out a level. I usually start off with sketches, but so I'll kind of like get an idea of like what I want the player to do in that like particular room or something, or how I want them to navigate it.
Hmm.
Um, but you start off before you even put graphics in. You would usually just put the geometry in the level and just kind of like mess around with that until it feels good. Because you don't want to waste time adding artwork if something isn't like refined, because then you're
Right.
just wasting your time. But I have a couple things that I've kind of implemented that there are safeguards against, having to produce a lot of art, which I will zoom in on this here, and this is actually really neat. This is called sprite shape, and you can actually manipulate the environment. I'll move the camera so you can see it like actually affect the scene in real time too. Um,
And you're entirely self-taught.
well, I mean, would you call like, following courses and stuff like that? Like, does that count?
Yeah, I think so. Like you put in the work, you know? It's not
That's
like you
true.
went
That's
to
true. Yeah.
school and like had to take tests and like make projects. Like you just
Yeah.
did the thing.
Yeah, but this is again like this was just again a lot of suffering.
Yeah. But like
It's like yeah.
it's so cool. And can I say, like, I know we haven't seen a ton, but
Sure,
like
sure, sure.
from what I have seen, screenshots and videos I've seen you post, that like genuinely this game looks beautiful. Like I
I
am
yeah.
genuinely excited
And
for you to
that
release it.
that makes me really like happy to hear because I've artwork was a really big struggle for this project. Like I had
Hmm.
to kind of like I had to reiterate over and over again, and I still do. But like I've learned because of how Unity works, you can like you don't have to wait to get to a certain point to build the thing. So
Hmm.
I can put these assets in the game, but I can open up the PNGs of them and I can make edits and I can change the assets and I can improve the assets. And if you save over the PNG that's in the Unity project, it just floods right in. So it's like
That's
all the
awesome.
changes. But yeah, like if I change this tree that you're looking at and I've like wanted to, friggin' like improve it or like change the color or something, I could do that in like Krita or Photoshop. And then obviously opening it from within the Unity project or the Unity folder where it lives,
Hmm.
and then editing it, and then it just you save it and it just changes like right in the project. So
That's
I've
so
I've
cool.
well, I had to kind of get familiar with that because that's how you save time. So you don't have to like feel like you have to, start new documents and draw new assets completely. It's like what I started doing is I started kind of like drawing over my assets so that they still fit within the scenes. But here's the cool little thing is like to maximize um time and to stretch your artwork as far as possible because I'm one person.
Hmm.
Um, Unity has a lot of cool like 2D tools, and this thing right here, I'll show you. Like this is based on show you. So this down in the bottom left corner, you see the thing that I just highlighted.
Hmm.
All right, so these are basically just like it's just a texture fill.
Hmm.
So if you're looking at the camera now in the scene, you can see underneath the grass there's that like kind of rock texture.
Yeah.
That's what this is. And there's this really cool feature in Unity where you can basically have a dynamic tile set that you can manipulate in real time. And I'll do that for you right now. So, like, if you wanted to change look at that shit. Yeah, isn't that cool?
That's so
Yeah.
fun.
So, like, you could like just change and this is just, I don't have to make new artwork for this.
Yeah.
Like, it's this pre existing artwork that I drew and I could stretch it so far. All of the kind of like the structures in the background that are going straight up,
Hmm.
the I guess like mountains or whatever you want to call them or cliffs, that's all the same thing. It's all sprite shape. So
That's
like
so cool.
dude, it's fucking awesome. It's very cool. So like I try to like stretch that as far as I possibly can
Hmm.
so that I can draw these assets and I could do most of the crafting like in Unity itself. One of the big things that I like want this to be is I just like when you say that it looks beautiful, like that's important to me because I really ultimately just want this to like I want this to be a place you just want to be in,
Hmm.
Like I want there to be something like kind of like enticing about it where you wouldn't mind just exploring it and
Yeah.
walking around. That way, because this is definitely more of like, I do try to lean into action stuff. I'm talking too much. Let me just play.
You're good. You're good.
This, like, all this effect, like, this isn't 3D. This is actually parallax. So, like, everything that you're seeing move in the background is on a flat plane, but it's just programmed to move at different speeds as the camera moves. So it creates an illusion of depth.
So cool.
So, and then this is like, that's an asset that I had to draw, like, that I, so I still try to make it so you can have, like, landmarks in the scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
So that, like, to kind of orient the player, because I'm actually up in the air on whether or not I want to have, like, an actual map or something.
Yeah.
And then this area you could see is kind of barren because I haven't placed artwork here yet. So, which, like, if we have more time, I would do. I'm sorry. Like, I would show you, like,
oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, I have never watched just, like, somebody, I don't know, I've never looked up YouTube videos of people just, like, playing around in Unity. This already looks so cool.
Right, but you could see, like, in this, like, area how it's missing a lot of the background elements that you had, like, over here.
Yeah.
Or, like, but, and obviously you have some, like, camera movement here where you can, like, it's pretty, like, easy in Unity to, like, dynamically change cameras. That's how that, like, you get that, like, zoom out effect there. It just switches to a camera that's, like, larger and fixed, I think. Yeah, this one doesn't move. You got a little bouncy guy over here.
What do you struggle with the most with the, like,
Structure and level design are my are the banes of my life. I'll just show you some little navigation stuff. We'll explore a little bit.
Oh, that's so neat. The movement. People are going to love the movement of this.
I hope so, because that's the thing that I feel the most insecure about. It's tough, man. Animating all this stuff is fucking...
No, I'm sure. But, like, people like, as long as a game feels good, like, I think people are pretty excited to just be there.
And then I'll take you over into, like, an unfinished room. Here we go. So, yeah. All right.
This is so neat.
Yeah, so this is what they look like when they're bare bones. I'm not afraid to show this stuff. It's fine.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like. This is the thing. What you said before, like, is so true. I don't think people share enough of their fucking process, and that sucks. Like, finding out all this stuff about how to do this with the artwork was really time consuming because, like, there's almost like no documentation on, like, what developers do, what their process is. An art pipeline is one of the trickiest things to get right in a game because you can't just, I could be wrong for saying this, but you can't just, like, draw something and then drop it right in the game. Like, you have to, like, understand other aspects of the engines that you're working in, like scaling and how, like resolution, and I don't know. It's crazy. But this is a little prototyping thing over here. Look at that little swingy rope. It's a good time. I want to make it so that rope you're going to actually have to manually swing on.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like a manual rope. But right now it's all testing stuff, and she doesn't have a swing animation, so it still looks janky, but I'll swing on the rope for you.
I love that.
Yeah, I gotta get, like, the swing animation so, like, her legs sway and stuff like that. But it's actually got a really nice feel when you do jump off of it. It has a nice, like, arch to it. Hang on.
Ooh.
Like, it's pretty, like, and then like, what I want to do for that little area up there is make it so that, like, if you want to get up there, you gotta, like, kind of combine movement mechanics, like maybe dash, and then
yeah. This is so, Nico, this is so cool. I'm, like, genuinely very excited.
Oh, that's cool. I was happy to share this with you because I knew, like, you of all people would actually be, like, into this, like, to,
way into it.
Yeah. So, and actually, so the thing that sucks is, like, I'll change the, I tried getting this audio that, I'll explain this to you in a second. Let me get over there. I get ahead of myself. So
I do the same thing.
Yeah, in these little birds, like a big experience of how the narrative is told in the game is by freeing these birds from cages.
Yeah.
And when you free them, like an audio snippet plays, almost like an audio log. Like it serves the same purpose almost. Like if you find an audio log in, like, BioShock, or, like, a note in Resident Evil, like, this adds context to the world and to the relationship that the character had with her friend. This is kind of the problem with this one. This audio, I have to increase the volume. It's not balanced. It's really quiet, but hang on.
I remember reading about this thing called a twin flame. It's not really a soulmate, but it seems so much more romantic. And tragic.
So
That's really cool.
and what I try to do is like I want to create mechanics in the world that kind of have context based on the stuff you hear. So like these two like nodes that you see, they're still placeholder art, but that's like the kind of it's like supposed to be the twin flame thing, you know?
I like that.
So, but I'll show you what like it's like a weird little dash mechanic. I'll show you.
That's really neat.
And you like I created a couple of like environments where you like obviously that's like you know, it's kind of taking the control away from the player a little bit, but there are platforming sections where you have to chain them together. And like it's cool cuz it's like a dash reset, but when you dash through them, you can actually like do this infinitely. Hang on.
Oh,
So you see what I'm saying? So like you could stack that in like platforming like elements and
dude, speedrunners are gonna eat that
it would
shit up.
that would be cool. And then actually if you don't mind, I'll show you like another scene
No,
or
please
two.
do. Do you have like a goal? Like I know you said you know you're being patient with yourself and like obviously you've got a lot to do, but like do you have a goal for like, oh, I'd really like to release it in this year?
2 years ago.
Okay. That's incredibly relatable.
Yeah, 2 years ago. I even made of like the background of my desktop is a fucking 12 month plan that I've exceeded already.
Okay.
I've exceeded it. I've exceeded it since October. And so it's like it just doesn't work. Like I just have to accept that this is
It's done when it's done.
okay. Yes, but that's the thing is like I reflected on this a lot, and I'm like, okay, there is like if you're trying to do something viable and like and this is already your job, you got to get shit out the door. But this isn't my job right now, and like I love the process. The process is what I'm about. When I finish this game, I'm gonna miss it. Like this has been so like I almost like don't want to I love I've grown to like love this like weird yellowish like murky environment that like I've been making levels in and stuff, and I don't know, it's just like it's the process. Like I would trust me, I'm excited to finish this, but at the same time I'm like I'm gonna miss it, like this is like it's like I'm gonna have to like leave these characters behind because this is not. Listen, I'm saying it now. It's on the record. Even though like this game doesn't have a lot of followers, there's not gonna be a fucking sequel. It's just not. This game does not get a sequel. Games don't need sequels. Like it's like this has a story that's gonna be self-contained. Like there's nothing else for these characters outside of what this story is. Like it's just, and that's okay. So this is like a little kind of like riddle, I guess. So like this thing in the background, actually I guess the puzzle was kind of like inspired by Skyrim with like the little wheels that you turn.
Yes.
I love that game. So that gives you context into it, but you could turn these things and change them to solve the puzzle, which I don't want to give the answer to. I mean, it's not that hard, but you could change the each node to something, to a different symbol. And as you would imagine, that relates to the riddle and the, down there.
This is so neat. This is just visually so cool.
That's what I honestly like. That's the thing that I'm leaning into. Like, I'm not a great like game designer. I'm not a great, like, I'll get there, but like my strength right now is like, I've been able to figure out how to make this like thing pretty. Yeah. And I want this to be something that people just want to like be in, like I said before.
Do you have specific like games or experiences or like what drove you to have this as the aesthetic of everything and the environment? So
there's a couple things. I really, really love like dark, whimsical like art. Like, the most obvious example would be like a Tim Burton or something like that. Like where it's like I love This is gonna sound so pretentious, but I love the
You're
duality of
good.
that. I
Yeah.
love things that are like that are still demented, but there's something like welcoming and cute about them,
Mm-hmm.
and like or simple, and like I feel like that almost makes it like creepier sometimes because it's like
Yeah.
it's this weird like contrast, you know. But there are ways that it's played out. Like one thing that I hate now that's so cheesy is like when horror films have like nursery rhymes or
Oh,
something. Like that's
yes.
lame. Like
Yeah.
but that's an example of people trying to play into that that like that duality, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess and that's one thing, but also it's I could produce this art really fast.
Yeah.
Um yeah,
Yeah.
but well, yeah, I have to. Like, I was like, I
Yeah.
can't. Like, if I want to like actually finish it, like, I can't try to do things that are like so insanely outside of my abilities. And I'm already like reaching that peak with this because I'm not an animator, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's why the animations in this, and I'm not putting it down, but the animations are not as good as they could be, and they're kind of stiff. It sucks because that's like I feel like that's the one thing that's like really holding this back for me. Like, I want to be better at doing visual effects and and animation. Like like animation, like good animation for this would just absolutely fucking elevate this project like
Mm-hmm.
so much because the environments are already pretty nice, you know, like the environments look good, but the characters, like you have to want to be that character. Like you have to want to like you have to like enjoy that character, like looking at them, like you're playing as this character. It has to be visually pleasant. Like the animations need to be smooth. It needs to feel fucking good to play it as them, but part of what like it's funny, but part of what sells movement in a game, like it might not even be the actual like programming of like the physics of the movement, but the animation paired with that makes such a big deal. It's good though because like it is important to kind of like to challenge myself, and like I'm just getting into a flow with finding a way to like animate frame by frame.
Yeah.
um I'll even show you some stuff.
Sure.
I'll show you some animations. Let's go into the animator. Let's do it.
Do you feel like if you ever brought someone on to help with animation, it would feel less of your project? Do you think you'd be like less happy with
Honestly,
it?
probably,
Yeah.
probably. Like, and that is like I feel like that's a lack of maturity on my end.
No, I'm the
It
same
is.
way.
Yeah, but it really is. Like, it's not like because it really. I mean, it really depends on the end goal, but like it's just, it's a control freak thing, and like
But it's your baby.
it's not. That's the
No?
thing. This game, it's not my baby. This game was never supposed to be my baby. I was not gonna fall into that trip of fucking. I'm making my dream game.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I want to make a fucked up horror game. Like I want to make something like this is not my dream game. This is not like
Interesting.
yeah, it's not. But it's like this is an exercise of discipline. It's not a,
An
now it's a game that I do.
exercise of discipline. I like that.
This is like it's not that I don't want to make this game, but I was
Sure.
worried. Here's the thing. This game isn't my baby, and look how fucking like long I've been working on it for. Can you
Yeah.
imagine if this was?
Yeah.
My life would be over.
Yeah.
My life would be over. Like I was just like so like I need to kind of just like to learn how to like I need to mature. I need to mature as a creator. And this is that stepping stone. Like making this and just fucking reeling my ass in to just finish something like big. Not like I've already finished like tiny games, but that's
Sure.
nowhere near this. Like this is a far more ambitious project than an auto runner that you play as a dog.
Which
So
sounds great. Like, let's
it,
not
I
downplay
think
that. Sounds a
when you look it
genius.
up, I think you're gonna be amused. You'll be amused by it. So because I actually did a good job with it, like the art and everything. Like I'm pretty proud of it.
I love the idea that you're like, nah, I just phoned it in. Like, you were like, I did a good job. I'm proud of me. And that was,
Yeah.
no, that's good. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's lovely and
Yeah.
I'm very excited to play it.
I don't know. Oh yeah, I was pulling up animations, but like, there's some that like I just updated that I feel better about, but I'm like, I just have to kind of like, just take it a step further and just
Sure.
keep. But the problem is, and this is the thing that has slowed me down. Taking these little like breaks to put myself through these boot camps to make these improvements.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's tough. So like, and a lot of them have been art related. So like that's kind of what's really slowing the project down, is me trying to improve visually, like
Right.
my art style, because I do have older versions. I'll send you, I'll email you like a folder of like the different stages of the project,
Viruses.
and like also that, but I was, but yeah, like I just, or like a Google Drive or something, and I'll just so
Yeah.
you can look at it for in the future if you want to.
Sweet.
So you could see like how like the different stages that the project has taken, because I took time off away from developing it, which I shouldn't have done. That was a big mistake, and I know that now. What I should have done
Mm-hmm.
is I should have kept working through it and improving the art, like I told you how I kind of developed that pipeline now. So let's zoom into this. I'll turn these little guys off so you can see the character. And the funny thing is like what it sucks how far the camera is zoomed out in game, but you kind of have to give players a vantage
Right.
point of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
environment, because she's a huge, like like she's a big, like her resolution's large. Like she was,
Yeah.
I drew everything, um, like for 4K resolution, but the rule of thumb is to draw things twice the size that you need them when you're creating
Oh.
artwork, so you can scale them in the future if you need
Mm-hmm.
to. So these are fucking massive, but what I need to do in the future, and like this is just a little, because I'm sure you probably have some developers watching this, maybe, who knows, right? But one
Probably.
thing, one thing that you have to watch is like the file size of stuff. Like if you me importing these files like this makes the project a little bit bigger than it needs to be. So what I have to do in the future is I actually have to like keep the originals at those large resolutions, but scale them down outside of Unity and then bring them back in at the resolution I'm actually using them at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like, because these are massive, but Unity has a feature where you can scale stuff down, but you still have that massive file in your game. So like it's
Yep.
better to scale them down outside of it and then bring the scaled down assets in, because she's fucking massive. You
That's
could see like
interesting.
I can zoom in pretty far before her pixels start to like before
Yeah.
she starts to pixelate. Like even at this distance, like the fact that I'm this close and she still looks kind of bold, she starts to blur a little bit, but
Sure.
like that means she's pretty big.
That's so
But
cool.
the I think the most recent one that I've reworked was the running animation, which like the legs are fine, but I want to fix the arms. I just feel like there's like
Interesting.
yeah, but I wish I had the old running animation, because this is definitely an improvement.
Yeah.
Um,
This looks
I
so cool.
this is an amazing piece of software. Like game engines get shit on, but what they do for us is nothing short of amazing. Like
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much time this saves people. Like I think about the fucking dudes back in like the 90s who were like writing games with like assembly, like, which is like a very very low level programming language. And what that means, I'm going to try my best to explain this. Like something like Unity has a thing called an API. So there's things that you can piggyback off of when you're programming to save you time. You don't have to write everything from scratch. So like imagine these like set of behaviors inside of a box, okay? And like just by writing like one line in like in like a scripting software, you can access all that stuff. Like you don't have to write everything from scratch. You can access these boxes of information and behaviors with like one line of code
That's
versus
fascinating.
right. Like I'm trying to find like the best way to like explain this without also getting it wrong, because like I'm sure
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
explanation of that people would probably be offended by that, but meanwhile, like something like what people used to do back in the 90s is they had to write like everything from scratch. Like the fact that you could see this sprite of this character rendered on the screen, and I didn't have to write a script for that, is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
People did. People had to do that. Like they had in order to like make games, they had to like write everything from scratch.
But like
Renderer is like, yeah.
that's like incredible. And as we said earlier, it's the reason that indie games have taken off is because there's
100%.
so much out there and there's so many
accessible.
resources. Yeah, it's so accessible. And like you said, you were just like, I decided I wanted to make a thing and I'm doing it. And now look at it. Like, it looks incredible. So that's
really
like a testament.
That. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Because it's like, let me tell you, and like, I just kind of have to like, sometimes I just kind of have to like just be okay with what I'm doing, you know? Because like there's so much talent out there. Like there's so many, like I can go on Twitter and like just be like bombarded with beautiful projects, like, you know, people making these hand-drawn projects that look like, you know, so much, you know, if you're just going off of like raw ability and raw like talent, they're better. They're better looking than what I'm doing. And I'm not saying that to put myself down. That's just how it is. That's how it is. But I just have to remind myself, like, I'm doing what I'm doing, you know, like I'm making what I'm making. And like, it's like, that's like, it's great for them. Like, that's awesome that there are people out there who are fucking killing it and they're making exceptional things. It's a lot, you know, one thing that makes me feel just a little bit better is a lot of the people that I've been like, you know, getting to like know on Twitter and other developers who are doing something similar to what I'm doing. They're not working on it by themselves. Like they're like a team of like, you know, 2 people, 3 people, like, and it's like, okay, that's cool. Cause then they can maximize their abilities. Like the artist can just work on artwork, you know,
right.
The programmer can just work on like fucking awesome gameplay. But like, I just kind of have to balance everything. It's my own choice. I'm not complaining.
Sure.
But it's just, I don't know. Like again, like I said, I just have to remind myself, it's like, one, like it's fucking cool that I did this because I didn't know how to do this, you know? So it's like, you have to like, that's the problem with comparing yourself to really, really talented people is that you really, and this isn't just like silly motivational shit. Like you really sell yourself short on the pleasure of being able to bask in the things that you've grown to be able to do, you know, like when you're sitting there and just like, oh, well, they do it so much better. Yeah, they do. But it's like, you still did something that is like good, you know? So it's like,
I feel like this is going to be like I'm feeling motivated personally. So like, I'm hoping that other people who might be watching this or listening to this have like listened to you talk about the trials and tribulations of it and have witnessed like what you have made. And I hope that it is something that is inspiring for other people. Because like I very much think that like the way you approach it is a very rational human way to approach it.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I think it's really important to state that like I do obviously like I say these things with the experience of actively going through these struggles. You know? But you have to like you have to also, it's so much easier to be negative. Like it takes effort to just kind of like that's the default thing. Like that's easy to do. It's easy to be like, oh well, they're better and blah blah blah. But like I don't know. Like it's important, like I said, to balance that out. Because that is important. It is important to like to recognize greatness and strive for that, you know? Because that like understanding that people are better than you, like it's a good thing if you allow it to motivate you, you know? Because that kind of destroys some people, like where they just kind of like eat themselves alive because there's like they don't feel like they're good enough. But you should be happy that you can experience these levels of excellence and see these like, you know, these shining examples of what like people are capable of and be inspired by that rather than, you know, be defeated by it.
Nico, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter. That's I would say that's like the biggest, like that's my thing. I use Twitter basically like exclusively because I haven't figured out other platforms yet. You know, I tried TikTok. It's too cringy. Like I just can't. Like I want to do it, but like I try like and I'm like I don't know how to connect with these people. Like it's like in order for me to connect with people on TikTok, I kind of have to like I have to find out like what niche of people on TikTok are gonna, you know, resonate with this, because fucking putting like Beyonce over, you know,
Gretchen.
One of my like, yeah, it's just like it just doesn't, and it's just I can't figure it out. So Twitter, it's Stitchlip Stitch Lip Studios. That's I would say that's what I'm the most active on.
And you can wish list Gretchen on Steam, I'm assuming.
That's right. Yeah, it's on
Hell
there.
yeah.
It is on there.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you like doing this. I was excited for this. I really was.
Oh my
So I'm
gosh,
glad we
I
did
was
this.
super
Yeah.
excited. Like I said, I love when I go in not knowing very much about people because it makes it so much more interesting. And,
Right.
You had so much like good stuff to say. I'm like super excited to release this one. So thank you again for joining.
Yeah.
And
I'm
go back
at
to your
about
mortar
it.
puzzle. And for the rest of you, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. I love that you're just grinding herbs.
Oh my god.
So funny.